It's Jerome Braggs here to answer another one of your questions. The question I most recently received was: is there a difference between forgiveness and reconciliation? There's absolutely a difference. Forgiveness is the process that we take in order to return ourselves to love, to the energy of love, to the experience of love, and to the consciousness of love. Whenever we've had an experience with someone and that experience has hurt us in some way and we're angry with them or we're frustrated with them, we have some type of conflict with them. Forgiveness is the process we take whereby we try to release the conflict and the frustration and the resentment that we are targeting to somebody else in order to return our energy back to love and peace. Forgiveness is not necessarily for the other person, it is for you. It is for returning yourself to the core of who you really are. Who you really are as a soul having a human experience is you are the vibration of peace. You are the vibration of love. And anytime you are out of those two vibrations for a long time, you cannot stay well and your life cannot work well for you. If we hold resentments for too long, eventually we're going to manifest some type of illness or disease. And if we hold resentments for too long, we can't reach the levels of success that we want. We can't have loving relationships with other people. They start to bleed out and metastasize, not just in our bodies, but in other areas of our lives. So forgiveness is the process by which we return ourselves to peace and to love. We deserve that and we need that. As Maya Angelou once said, either you're in love or you're in illness. So forgiveness is making sure we're healthy, making sure that our lives work well, and that we can move through our experience with a level of joy. Reconciliation, however, is about reestablishing a relationship. So oftentimes forgiveness does not require reconciliation. If the individual that you are forgiving, or if the experience that you're forgiving, and the person that's involved in that experience is still involved in that type of behavior, you don't have to reconcile with them. A part of loving ourselves, one of the main rules of loving ourselves, is do no harm to yourself. And if you know that the other individual has not healed yet, if you know that the other individual has not changed their behavior and they're still crossing boundaries, or they're still being disrespectful, or they're still dishonoring you in some way, you do not have to reestablish a relationship in order to put yourself back in harm's way. But your responsibility still is to love them. You still need to think about them and send energy to them from a loving space. However, that love does not require proximity and it does not require a relationship. Sometimes sometimes you have to keep people in your heart and not in your life. And if that person is not at a point in their progression or in their evolution where they can love themselves enough to only offer you love, remember, only hurt people hurt people. So one of the things about forgiveness is understanding that if they hurt us, they were probably hurting, because only hurt people really hurt people. So if they've not, done the healing work to relieve their hurt, and if they're not doing the work to love themselves enough to be able to better love you, then a part of loving yourself is probably to not reestablish a relationship with that person or to set higher boundaries with them. So no, reconciliation and forgiveness do not always have to go hand in hand. If that person has changed, if the person has healed, if you know that the boundaries between the two of you are very clear and they're going to be honored and respected and both of you can come to each other from a healthy place, then go ahead. You may want to reconcile, but that is always a choice. It is not necessarily the spiritual thing to do to always reconcile. The spiritual thing to do is to do the most loving thing. And the most loving thing sometimes is to love yourself enough to take a step back and make sure that your energy, your body, and your life are without harm. So that's the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. I hope that helps you. Remember, love does not require proximity or relationship. It just requires you to do it. You must return yourself to love. You must return your consciousness and how you think about that person to a loving consciousness. But you do not have to return the relationship to what it was. That's the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. Until next time, much love, be well, and live solicitously. Ashe.